Shoot me.
Yeah, shoot.
Yeah. Well, so what, tell me about the session with Keaton. Yeah.
Oh,
What was the session? I checked my Amazon order and the Art of Manifesting book shipped
yeah.
to me.
Okay.
So I'm gonna get caught up on it.
Okay.
But I'm really curious to know how the session started.
Yeah, it was really cool. Like, one, I don't really draw that much or do art, whereas like I know you have, you're an artist, right? So you do all that stuff a lot, right? You illustrate books, you do your own stuff. So whenever we set up, it was just Tally and Keita and I, and we set up in the conference room, and we got stuff spread out everywhere. We got like I've got 4 pieces of paper, and then Tally brought some like markers and highlighters, and Jess brought some stuff, and I brought my stuff, and then we're like sharing, like Keita's like she's kind of going along with us in conjunction, like she hasn't read it all the way through, right? So she's kind of going along with us. Right?
But this is
and
what she kind of does with her clients, right? So she's leading us through one of her services, essentially.
Yeah, and this is fairly new to her, even though she's done it before and she's done different things like this. But like this book it's a newer book, so it's like I think it's new stuff, right?
Okay.
So, but it's all about rewiring the brain and manifesting through art and through specific symbols or things that you draw on the paper, colors, all that kind of stuff.
Really?
So it's really neat. Yeah, it was really neat. I was like smiling from ear to ear the whole time. Just like, oh, this is cool.
Well, art can be so therapeutic, and I've always known that, but I didn't necessarily know the why behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be interesting. So is it like she gives you a prompt, and then you kind of take it away, and then you understand the meaning after you do it?
We haven't really dug into like the full extent of like what this is going to do.
Okay.
Right? I just know that it's, you have some prompts, but then you have like your creativity to do whatever you want to with it.
Okay. So did y'all actually draw that night?
Yeah.
What did you do?
Goodness. So
draw some stick figures?
Yeah. No, it was like maybe I drew a couple. It was like where you put a specific symbol in the middle, whatever that is, like the eye, all-seeing eye, which represents God, and then you create a space around that, and then you create your own space, and then you are like I don't fully understand it yet, just because this is the first time doing it, and I haven't really wrapped my head around it. But then you connect those dots of like you and God, and then you draw these different lines and energy frequencies that come out from you, and the things that you want to manifest. So as you're doing this, right? So you're like thinking of things like whatever somebody wants to manifest in their life, whether it be a car or a different life or peace or what have you. Then you're thinking about that as you're radiating this frequency out into the universe, out into the God space, if you want to call it that.
Okay. So is it like some form of meditation even?
It is, yeah. So it really is, because like if we think about it, sometimes we try to figure things out, right, as our analytical brain, and some people say that's a certain side of the brain, right? So like, but then your creative side is the other side of the brain. So you're trying to bridge that gap, right, of like the analytical and the creativity to bring forth whatever it is that you want to do, but you're staying out of that analytical line, and you're getting more into that playful, creative brain, I guess you could call it, or aspect of yourself to try to create whatever it is that you want to do, but you also let it go, right? So you put it down on paper, you're feeling the feelings that you're doing at the same time, not overthinking it, and then you just let it go. See what happens.
Yeah, that's been a big point of emphasis for me right now, has been if there's a worry, an anxiety, a negative feeling, anything I don't want to hold on to, because our body does that without us even realizing it. Letting go of that illusion of control. I don't even want to say control, because we really don't have it. There are a lot of things we think we're controlling, but it's outside of our control. And releasing it to God and really getting filled up with peace pretty much immediately, if you can do that. Yeah. So it was a good session.
Oh yeah, it was really cool. I think everybody really enjoyed it. It was just something different, right? And I feel like from the previous things that we've done, you know, from like the Dr. Joe books, right?
Yeah.
It brought more of a, if you want to call it this, like a more masculine, analytical energy to the group.
Ooh,
right?
yeah.
Versus this is more like the, I guess, from a feminine, like creativity.
Intuition.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really do want to get into Joe Dispenza with you, because that's been so helpful for me, because I have been more emotional, more intuitive, more going off of feeling than understanding the why, or maybe the science, or being able to speak to that analytical person or that skeptic about why things are happening with the universe or spiritually, because they're actually happening in the body. But I do want to get into how you and I first started talking, because you and I have gotten to talk about some really interesting and personal things over the last few years, but it really started because you and I were on a journey of personal health and healing. But I think you were even on this track way before I was. So tell me how you first got interested in taking care of yourself, eating better, being mindful of what you're putting in your body, and then we'll get into being mindful of what you're thinking.
Because it all comes back to that.
It does.
You know, so yeah, I mean, I think some people, Paul Chek, I listen to that guy a lot, as just a fantastic guy. He's got his own podcast. Spirit Gym is his podcast now. He used to be. I
haven't listened to when he switched, but you've sent me several episodes of the Living in 4D.
Paul Chek. He rebranded rebranded as that other podcast. But you know, he calls it the pain teacher. So like a lot of people aren't motivated to change until the pain teacher comes a calling. So, and you know, once we experience so much pain or discomfort, then we're like, okay, what, you know, I'm just tired of this. Yeah,
it's like we get ourselves, or we find ourselves in the same scenarios over and over again, almost as if the universe is trying to teach us a lesson.
That's right.
But it takes us a while sometimes.
That's right.
And those are our patterns that develop.
Yeah, and you know, there's many layers to it. There's just like, you know, peeling back the onion layer is just a great way of describing it. As Shrek would say, ogres have layers. Like, you know, we all have those layers. And so start off like, you know, early, you know, a lot of people, I've been very open about this, and early on in my 20s, like I was experiencing a lot of just like anxiety, depression, just ups and downs, and like what's going on, and you know, went to a lot of different doctors, and he's got depression, let's put him on this medication, and then eventually it was like, oh well, you know, maybe it's not depression, maybe it's bipolar disorder, so we'll label you as this, and then we'll give you this medication, right? So and there for a while it was like, okay, you know, I'm taking it and all that good stuff, and then it just, I don't know, it just wasn't really working, right? And although I was like telling myself, yeah, I guess, you know, this medication's okay. They talk about medications from, you know, they have side effects, right? And it's like, well, if it's affecting you a certain way, it's not a side effect. It's an effect. right?
That's such a good point.
Yeah, it's like,
don't you love how like on the end of the drug commercials, say it's for like depression, the side effect is like may cause depression.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
yeah.
this is the very reason I took it.
Oh, well, you
to
know,
avoid this.
it's just a side effect of this medication. No big deal.
Yeah.
It like, diminishes that it's an actual effect on you, right?
Yeah.
So it's not intended what they're wanting to do. But anyways, so I have these effects, right, from all these different medications. And, you know, I gained a tremendous amount of weight. I got up to like 250 plus pounds or so. And just was pretty miserable. I look back at some of those pictures that I'm like, oh gosh, look at that guy. Like he was pretty miserable. And like, but I have like compassion for my past self now, just from looking at all the challenges and struggles and things of that nature. So it kind of started there. I was just like kind of fed up, sick of being sick and sick and tired of being sick and tired, right? And started looking into different things. You know, the environment that we're around. It affects us, and our environment is created of what we put in our mouth, you know, from the food that we eat to the stuff that we drink to the things that we put on our body, to the people that we surround ourselves with, and ultimately what the thoughts and feelings that we have, you know, how we think, feel, and act, right? So it's like the environment that we're in. So just learning about all this stuff and lost some weight. You know, I wanted to get off of my medications. That was my goal, because I'm like, if I can heal my body enough and put my body into the environment that it could heal. I just was very focused on that, right? And I tried and it was in 21, and I'd like to plug a lady, because I lost weight. I was doing all the material stuff, right? The exercise, the eating good, drinking good water and
the
stuff
things
like
we
that.
first think about.
That's right.
When we're getting healthy.
Yep. Everybody thinks of like diet and exercise.
Yep.
Right? Diet and exercise is like what everybody thinks of. Whatever that is to everybody, it could be running on a treadmill for hours. It could be like lifting weights. It could, everybody has something different that they do.
Yeah.
So I went through all this stuff, right? And then I just could not get off these last couple doses of medication. Every time I tried, I was just like, it just was stuck. I was just stuck, right? So I was going to see, plug a couple businesses here, because I love small businesses and I love the people that have supported me during my lifetime. And Erica Swinney up at Holistic Family Medicine Practice and Healing Center in Sellersburg. So she has a great practice, and she's like, helping me along with different things, but she's like, you need to go see Terry. Right? And we know Terry now.
We do.
Yeah, right?
I've been very blessed to meet Terry.
Yeah, Terry's awesome. Terry Wagers. Hopefully she doesn't mind me saying her name on the podcast, but I'd like to, broadcast out, what she has done for me, right? For being what she's done as her profession that has ripple effects, right? Because sometimes we don't know what those ripples are.
Yeah.
Right? We just meet with someone maybe 1-2 times, and then poof, they're gone, and we don't ever hear from them again. So she put me into a Reiki session, which I was like, I'm open to it, but I didn't really know what it was. Had a very profound mystical experience, and the next week I was able to get off my medication, no problem. Wow. Yeah.
You still remember that mystical experience?
Yeah.
Do you care to share it?
Oh yeah. I really enjoy it, because it's like, wow, it just blew my mind. So you've met Terry now. You know Terry. She's just this ball of energy.
Yes. Right,
just ball of energy. But she's like 5 foot nothing, right? Maybe even 4 foot. I don't know. She always says, I'm just like really short, but she's got a lot of energy. It's palpable.
Yeah,
so,
her energy's 7 feet tall.
Exactly.
She is very tiny.
Yeah. Love her to death. So I meet her. I'm like, oh hey, she's telling me about some different things, what Reiki is, all that stuff. Lays me down on the table. Right, and I close my eyes, and at this time too, I'm also getting into meditation a little bit. So she has me relaxed, and so I start doing some breathing, doing some box breathing as I'm laying there. And I've got my eyes closed, and she's got her hands over my head, not really even touching me. And she says, Joe, I'm an intuitive, She's like, do you know what that means? I'm like, yeah, kind of. She's like, well, I've got some things that is coming up that I'd like to share with you. Is that okay? And Terry's very like boundaries, right? She's like very professional. Like, can I do this? Can I do that? Like and she asks for permission on things, which I think is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, sure. And she's like, you've had issues with your father in the past. You have to let that go. And I was like, okay, whatever. And I was sitting there with my eyes closed, and then all of a sudden, within my mind's eye, I see all these black and white photos come into like a timeline, and like like a movie slideshow.
Mm-hmm.
It's just black and white, and then all of a sudden they suck together. And then I'm sitting there, I'm like, what the heck is that? And then all of a sudden I see my dad standing there, and this white light comes around him, and then encapsulates him. And he's in his younger state. So like, my dad was kind of an older gentleman. He passed away recently, but he still had all of his hair, all of his teeth, like, he was younger, right? Mm-hmm. And he looked at me. He said, Joe, I just wanted to let you know I did the best I could for you, and I love you. And I said, Dad, I love you too, and I know you did the best you could with what you knew how to do. And I hugged him in my mind's eye. And so I'm like laying there, and I'm like, what was that? And so like I sit up, and Terry looks at me. She's like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm doing all right. And she said, well, you must have had a pretty profound experience. She's like, because I can typically feel the tingling in my hands whenever people are going through this release or going through like a healing experience. She's like, my hands were on like fire.
Really?
And I was like, wow, okay. And not knowing much about any of this stuff, like I'm just kind of like just open to it. I'm like, wow, that was really interesting. And then the ripple effect from that. Well, I always like to share it because it just is profound. Mm-hmm. So my dad and I never really did much growing up together. Like we didn't go to like, hunting trips, fishing trips, like, we didn't do much together at all. And like a week later, I had this thought that came into my mind. I'm like, I wonder if Dad would want to go on an elk hunting trip. And I was like, where did that come from? So I was like, I'm going to run this past Mom real quick to see what she thinks. So I call up Mom, and she's like, well, what's interesting? She's like, your dad's friend is asking the exact same thing. And I was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
So this was in, so I got off my medication in April of 21. We booked the elk hunting trip. So my dad was a little handicapped. He wasn't able to move around very well. He broke his back several years ago, so I had limited mobility. So we went to one of those 1,000-acre high fence ranches, and man, it was such a cool experience, just with all the elk, buffalo, stag, or goats, all that kind of stuff. And we had this awesome conversation on the way there. Had a beautiful experience there, and on the way back we just had just conversations about life, right?
And you'd never really had an experience like this with him.
Yeah. And so I was so patient, so kind. Like, he was still doing the same things that he always did that would trigger me before, but I had to release this emotion, or these emotions, this energy that was stuck in my body that I didn't really realize. And I just had such a great experience. And then after we got back, this was in November of 21, he lost some blood, he had an issue, went to the hospital, then ended up actually going into the nursing home and then passing away shortly after that. So if I didn't have that experience, I would have never, with Terry, or just looking into certain things and being open to, things that may be woo or things that may be weird, then I would never have that profound experience, to have that beautiful moment with my father before passing away.
Yeah. Wow. And you've had a lot of moments since then.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've really been leaning into your own abilities, if I can call them that.
Mm-hmm.
You've come across people like Terry, people like Erica, who are self-proclaimed healers
Mm-hmm.
and intuitives,
Mm-hmm.
but you kind of have an ability like that as well. But that in itself was a journey,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like you just talked about a sliver of chapter 1.
Yeah.
But I've been working on a novel here.
Yeah.
So you got more into the spiritual side of healing
Mm-hmm.
within the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like after you started meditating a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So did you get interested in podcasts? Like, how did you go down the rabbit hole to find Dr. Joe Dispenza?
Yeah, it started actually in 2020. Like, it was shortly before, like, I met with Terry, and then she actually solidified, what I had already been thinking too, because she gave me some things to take away after our session, and she's like, "You should really listen to Dr. Joe Dispenza. I think you really like him." Right, but in 2020, as the pandemic stuff, like, we're sitting at home, like, looking at different things. The algorithm was feeding me different things, and because I'm listening to health stuff and different podcasts, but he would pop up every once in a while, and it just made so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
And just the way he beautifully portrays and articulates, the mind-body connection, and how he puts science to the mystical and puts science to healing, and healing ourselves.
Yeah.
And the power and ability to heal ourselves once we put ourselves in the right environment. So, as synchronicities or, things would happen that way, I would get fed little things that I started to listen to along the way, and just got into his work, and it's just been pretty fascinating.
Yeah. Well, I remember the first piece of content of Dr. Joe Dispenza that came across my screen, and I believe you had shared it with me.
Oh.
And Brian, if you can pull up the after school clip, I just want to watch a little bit of that. Do you remember sending me the survival versus creation mode?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, and this is like a really great introduction into Dr. Joe Dispenza, because it summarizes a little bit of what his body of work is about.
Mm-hmm.
But since I'm very visual, I love after school. After school is, I guess, a guy who illustrates.
Yep.
And he uses a whiteboard like this.
Yes. So cool.
And he draws. So he takes excerpts from famous speeches, or maybe celebrities are on podcasts, or authors and doctors like Dr. Joe.
Yeah.
And he illustrates it on this whiteboard and as they're speaking. And so you had shown me this, and I got very interested in meditating more, in, again, like you said, that mind-body connection,
Mm-hmm.
and how our thoughts can make us sick. Because you and I connected a lot we were kind of going through some gut issues
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, and we were experiencing a lot of the same symptoms. But we didn't really know what was going on with us. And I know I was stressing myself out big time, probably with social media, and probably not eating as well as I could have, and work-related things that if you take 1,000-foot view or a 5,000-foot view from it,
Mm-hmm.
really don't matter in the grand scheme of life.
Yep.
But I was so close to it that I couldn't really see it. And there were a couple of people throughout my life that pointed out to me, and it's crazy. A lot of times it takes somebody else, an observer, to show you your blind spots.
Yep.
We all have them.
Yep.
And I was told a lot, you think really negatively about yourself. You speak to yourself, pretty poorly.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very stubborn, so a lot of times I'm like, yeah, whatever. But I did finally take a step back from that and admit to myself that, man, if somebody else made the same mistake that I made, I would forgive them in a heartbeat. But I don't forgive myself. And so that was kind of the beginning of my own personal journey into realizing, wow, maybe the way I'm talking to myself, maybe some of these beliefs that I have are leading to these physical manifestations of sickness and chronic disease. And so I found out through talking to you that you were doing a lot more Dr. Joe Dispenza stuff. Because I had seen a couple of his clips and you would talk to me about him, but beyond that I hadn't done a huge deep dive into him. And so it really fascinated me that you took the step to go to a retreat. Yeah. So can you tell me about your whole experience? I mean, even from taking your mom there.
Yeah.
Just tell me how you even decided to go, because that's a huge decision.
Oh gosh, how much time do we have?
You're gonna come back, Joe.
Yeah, it's like, wow, it's such a profound thing. I'll try to give you the highlights, right? But I would recommend, anybody take a look at that that clip, and that's a really great clip that I think you said synthesizes or distills a lot of his ideas and philosophies and things of that nature, and it's a good visual thing, right? So it's great. But this getting because of the work. So we have to kind of work on ourselves, and we have to become meditation as a way that we can become familiar with ourselves. I believe he says it's just the word meditation is defined as to become familiar with. So whenever we meditate, people have different ideas of what meditation is. It's the Zen person sitting there, or mindfulness, or whatever it is. But we're just trying to become familiar with those unconscious, subconscious things that are popping up over and over and over.
Learning how to observe it.
Yeah, just
and become aware of it.
First and foremost is to learn what's going on internally.
Yeah.
Right? Because we spend a lot of time in our external environment just thinking about what other people are doing, or places that we're going, or people we have to see, or things that we got to do, and all that kind of stuff.
And we distract ourselves from actually just being with ourselves and our thoughts.
Yes. So, and then that takes a lot of energy. So he says where we place our attention is where we place our energy.
That's right.
So if we spend a lot of our time thinking about all the things that we have to do, the people we have to see, the things that are the places that we got to go, and how long it's going to take us to get there, whatever. Me and you are sitting here right now, we're like, oh my gosh, I got so much to do after this, I got to do all this stuff. It takes us out of the present moment. So in essence, it's really about being present.
Yeah.
Right. So and what I think it's great is, so on the retreat side of things, they always say, refer it this way, that the best way to learn a foreign language is to be immersed.
Yeah.
Right. So I took 4 years of French, and I know oui, right? So
you know a wee bit more than I do.
Yeah. Je m'appelle Joseph. I can say I am, or here's my name. But anyways, to be immersed, to be immersed is the quickest way to learn something and to solidify it in ourselves. So I thought, what would be greater than being in that environment, right? It's 7 days, and he gives a lot of science behind the 7-day retreat, and they do a lot of scientific research on EEGs, testing saliva, blood, stool samples, brain scans, a lot of stuff.
Is he doing that during the retreat too?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there'll be people that sign up to be those test subjects. So to see what's going on in the brain whenever someone has a mystical experience, to see what happens whenever someone's in survival mode and they're thinking too much and they're in a negative emotion. What does that look like as far as like their blood samples and their genes and their brain scans and all that kind of stuff? Right?
Yeah.
So cool. It's like it's not just him saying this stuff; it's the science that's saying it. Right? It's like evidence is the loudest voice, is what he says. So, and my mom. So after my dad passed away, my mom kind of got into a spot. I did too, right? It's just very depressing to lose someone you love. But then, if you spent so much time with someone, I don't know how long they were together, but like it's just you lose a part of yourself, and you have to like really just revamp like what you're doing. So I noticed that she wasn't doing too great, and I was dripping her some Dr. Joe stuff, right?
You drip a lot of people some Dr. Joe.
I do.
Love it. I love it.
I'm a fanboy. I can't help it. And people may get annoyed with it, but I'm like, hey, this is fascinating. I just want to share it. And
that's our job, right?
Yeah.
They can do what they want with that information.
Yeah.
But your job is to share it.
Yeah. So I just feel compelled to.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
So and she's like, a couple of videos she watched, and she called me up because she kind of knew I was talking about energy and feeling energy and stuff like that in my body, around my body. And she said, Joe, she said, one of those videos that you sent to me, I was watching it and I just felt like all this energy on the top of my head, like running around. I can't hardly describe it. She's like, is that what you're talking about? And you got to realize, like, my mom's never meditated before, never done any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And she was like, is that what you're talking about?
It's bizarre when you first encounter something like that.
Yeah. It is bizarre, but it's also fascinating at the same time. Like, wow, I didn't know that was possible. Like, what else is possible, right?
Yes.
And that was one of the terms that actually Terry gave me whenever I was, or sayings, whenever after that first session, she said, just keep repeating, what else is possible, right? That's so cool. So anyways, dripping her some information. I'm like, hey, he has these retreats, you can go there and learn, be immersed. Oh yeah, and by the way, it's in Florida. So she's like, oh, that sounds fun. So like, me and her, we go to the retreat. Kelly, my wife, and her mother, they just go lay by the beach all day and like hang out and stuff. So they have their own little vacation. So, so we go there, and it's hard to describe. It's different than anything I've ever been to ever. You go to those rah-rah, retreats and stuff like that where you like get pumped up while you're there, and then like whatever, you learn a bunch of things. Well, this was like kind of like that, but it's like on a whole different level because you start feeling different. Like I started feeling different. Mom started feeling different. I'm like, he shows on brain scans that people that go through these retreats, their brains look, and through advanced meditation techniques, their brains look like they're on psilocybin. So meaning that their left and right hemispheres and their whole brains are like connecting together. It's not siloed, right? Sometimes when we get so analytical, we kind of silo in our brain, but then like it just opens up. Right? I was feeling that way. I was like, whoa. I'm like, this is wild. And then having these different experiences. Mom had a profound experience when we did a coherence healing. Just for people listening, that he calls it a coherence healing because he teaches that we can be in a state of coherence, which is order, or in a state of disorder, which is the opposite. Right? So if we're in disorder, our brains are in disorder. If we're in order, and as far as energetic wise, heart and brain coherence, we have to talk about a little bit more about that some other time. But then, profound things happen, right? We start becoming more peaceful, more joyous, like our energy field expands around us, and like the people that we interact with, like they have a different vibe about us. So the coherence meditations he's teaching people this throughout the week, this being in coherence and seeing the energy levels in the room that you can read with this thing called a Sputnik. So cool. And we were going along, we do these coherence meditations and coherence healings. So people sign up as like a a healee.
Mm-hmm.
They could be having cancer, they could have anything they want to try to heal from, and they are the healee, and then by default everybody else is the healer. And so we go into the ballroom, which is nothing special, it's just like a ballroom, right? But you just feel so much reverence going into this. You know, you go into it with your hands over your heart, and you just feel this reverence of like what you're about to do, right? Like you are there to help heal another person.
Yeah. And how powerful it is that everybody in that room has the same intention.
Yes.
It's way more powerful. It magnifies your frequency and your energy.
Yeah. You know, and there's like 1,500 people in the room, so there's a lot of energy.
Yeah. It's like being at a concert.
Yeah.
Right. It's just kind of like a different vibe.
Exactly.
But it's something that you don't really understand unless you're there.
Exactly.
Experiencing it yourself.
Yep.
And it's just overwhelming.
Yep. It could be church, religious experience.
Yeah.
It could be going to a concert, a stadium where everybody's like on that same page of like rooting for
sports game.
Yeah.
Go Hoosiers.
Yep. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I know you do that next week, and that's a big thing, right? So it's fun. So, and there's just so much reverence, you know, for that situation. And you know, my mom had this really profound healing experience helping someone else heal. And it's just such a cool thing. You know, I would go into a little bit more deeper, maybe next time. But you know, I don't know how much time we have.
I'd say go into it.
Go into it.
Go into it.
All right, let's do it.
So,
so you get into the room, you get into groups of 8. Me and Mom, we got split up. So she got in one group, I got into another group, and there's these chairs. They got the healie on the ground laying there, nice and comfy. They got a blanket on, they got their mask on for meditation, and then everybody else is the healer. They have their hands over their heart, and we all get in a coherent state, and then we take our hands and we put it out toward the person to like push our energy toward that person, right? Well, so when this starts, when this whole thing starts, you just feel the energy in the room just magnify, and then things just start happening. Things just start happening. People are crying, people are laughing, people are yelling because they've got this stuff going on. It's just like, it's hard to describe, but it's just like, whoa. And it was like a bit distracting because like I didn't know what to expect, right? But like this is all going down, and then like my mom, so like after it got done, she was in the other group, and I was just sitting there, and everybody's like, in tears of joy and all this stuff, and it's such a cool experience. Well, I get up and I'm like walking over to like kind of get out of the way a little bit, and here comes my mom, and she said, "Joe, don't leave me." And I'm like, what's going on with her? And she is just bawling, or she's like I saw that she's been crying. And she came over to me and I hugged her, and as soon as I hugged her, it's just like more tears just start coming out, boom, boom. And I'm like, just sit down, that's okay. And so we sat down there for a second. I was like, what happened? And she said, Joe, she's like, I just had so much energy run through me, like it was insane. She said, whenever we took our hands off our heart and put it toward the person, I just felt my heart center just explode. And all this energy came and went to her, all around me. I felt it bouncing off of people around me. It felt like static. It was electric, is what she said.
Wow.
Right? It was just electric buzz that was like all around me. And she's like, it was just so profound. And she's like, and I had my hands out, and my hands were like kind of going back like this. And she's like, she's like, it was, and she's like, all that energy, I was trying to hold it in, but then it just started coming out of my eyes.
Next time I cry, I'm just going to say, this is just energy.
Yeah, it just kind of started coming out of my eyes.
It's a release,
right?
Yeah.
She's like releasing it out. And then she's like, and then when we were done, like I was trying to pull my hands back, but she's like, there was just so much energy coming out of me, like I couldn't pull my hands back. And she's like, and it was just hit her like a freight train. And she was like, I didn't know what to do with that. But afterwards, like, so, I was like, it was the end of the night. I was like, hold on to me. We'll go back to the room. So we went back, and her senses were heightened. She could hear things, smell things, just magnified.
Really?
Like she heard someone in the other room sound like it was just like right here. It was boom, boom, like walking. And then she had another release at another meditation a couple days afterwards, and like all the guilt that she was holding in her heart of like not being able to do enough for my father, right? It was just gone.
How freeing.
Yeah.
And she's still, since then, been doing some meditations. You all have still had some really cool synchronicities and stories since then.
Yep.
If you don't care to share, I might ask you to share one.
Okay.
But I did want to mention too, because part of what Joe Dispenza does is asks people to give testimonials.
Yes.
Not only on stage, live, for the people at the retreat, but he records people throughout the retreat too.
Yep.
And they're all up on YouTube. I know he's on Gaia too, right?
Yeah.
Which you access, and you can get all of his meditations and go through his workshops, and because he has a ton of books. But one of the things that people experience during those times are those light beams. Can you share a little bit about like just kind of what you know about the light beings?
So I've never experienced one myself, like at the retreat. And I just want to go back to something that you said. So if anybody has like questions like about some of the stuff, they want to see the testimonials of people, right? The YouTube channel is just fantastic. There's so many testimonials on there from people healing themselves from cancer to MS to like whatever it is, right? And it's just fascinating because we have to like change ourselves before our lives change, and people find out that instead of waiting for their healing to happen, right, they must start feeling healed first.
Yeah.
And to pray as if it has already happened, right? So, and the thought and the feeling is like what you have to mesh together. So these people, they found out whenever they started their healing journey, they had to change, right? It wasn't about their healing anymore. It was about them changing and the feelings that they want to feel whenever that experience becomes manifest, right? So check those testimonials out. They're fantastic.
Yeah, we'll put a link to one in the show notes.
Yeah,
so people can check it out and do their own rabbit holing.
Yeah, the rabbit holing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's so those testimonials. Speaking of the light beings, like many of the testimonials will have the interactions of the light beings, and I heard maybe it was a YouTube video that Joe was on. He started talking about that whenever people raise their energy up in the room, that's when the light beings are able to come down and assist.
Yes.
Right? There's more energy in the room. The light beings aren't matter. We've got to realize this. Like, matter is a very dense form of energy.
Yeah.
It is energy, but it's just very dense. So if a light being is very high vibrational, it's like maybe they don't want to come down into this 3D space that we've all elected to come down into, right? This 3D dense space that, sometimes it's pretty difficult, right?
Yeah, why we chose this, who knows?
Yeah, who knows, right? And maybe we're just here to let's see like how the journey's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we already know, but we're just got amnesia of like about it. We're just here to experience it again. I don't know.
Yeah.
But so whenever we raise our energy enough, like these people start seeing these light beings. They call them angels, right? You call them angels, light beings, higher states of consciousness, but they assist with the healings. One of the ladies was talking about having her, and they'll show it at the retreats as well. But one of the ladies started talking about having this inner ear thing, and one of the light beings came to her and was like putting this finger in her ear, and like he's like, yeah, you like spa, right? And she's like, yeah. He's like, okay, just think that you're at the spa, and then like he was like doing some things like in her ear, like, and something healed.
No
right?
way.
Yeah.
Wait, so it spoke to her?
Oh yeah.
Too?
And they all say it's more so like a telepathic.
Yeah.
It's not even like a
just in your mind. You're not actually having this conversation.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And actually, after I believe the second coherence healing at the retreat that I was at, I was sitting there and I was like, man, that was pretty profound. This lady sitting next to me, she's like, oh my gosh. She said, there are so many angels here. And I looked over at her and I was like, really? Did you see them? She said, yeah, they were everywhere. And I was like,
wow,
that's cool.
That gave me chills.
Yeah. And so this, having those people's experiences, right? Anecdotal evidence, N of one, whatever you want to call it, right? But like all that information starts adding up. People have testimonials about it. The lady who was sitting next to me talked about it. People have seen angels throughout biblical times and all that kind of stuff. So like it's there. And there may not be a rhyme or reason why they come visit us, but it seems as if when we raise our vibrational energy up, then we can have more interactions with them. It seems that way.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Now some people can see them, while for others it might be a little more difficult. But yeah, that testimony, I think you showed us that at book club. And yeah, that really was attractive to me, was just knowing that there are a lot of things around us that we might not be aware of.
Yes.
At a different plane, different dimension kind of a thing.
Yeah, we can only see so much of the light spectrum.
Yeah.
Right? So there are X-rays, there are like infrared rays, there are ultraviolet rays that we can't see, but they're there.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
So if you don't mind sharing, the one synchronicity story that is standing out to me is the spiral and door. If you don't mind sharing that, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, absolutely. So cool. So my mom, she's putting in the work. Like after that retreat, she was like, I'm not ever going to stop doing this.
Convicted.
Yeah, convicted.
Yeah.
There are days that she doesn't want to, but she knows that she's changing herself, right? So like that old programming tries to pull us back. And so we just have to keep being mindful of like our thoughts, our feelings, all that kind of stuff. Well, she's continuing to do the work. One of the meditations that she did, and she was coming kind of like back to consciousness, or you get into this like weird state of like you're not asleep but you're not awake either. It's just like right in between, that sweet spot that it calls it. And she saw this door, this panel with all these different panels on there, and these little bitty doors, and they have these spirals in there. And I can actually send you the picture.
Yeah, you should totally do that.
Yeah, so if you want to like plug it in.
Yeah.
I like how like some of the YouTubers have been doing that. They're, like plugging in these like little pictures as they're talking. I'm like, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
So, she's like, she asked me, you know what this means? I was like, well, I don't know, but we were like talking about it, and like doors could just be like, Dr. Joe talks about changing your box, going into a different dimension, changing you're a different person in this different dimension.
Yeah.
Doors, spirals could be a portal to like a different realm or different you or whatever it is.
Yeah, he talks a lot about you sit down and then after you meditate, you get up as a different person.
Yes.
Your timeline changes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're no longer that same person.
Yeah.
Right? That's one of those like interesting synchronicities that never would have happened before. As you change your energy, those things don't line up with you, right?
Yeah.
They've always been there, but then it's like you haven't noticed it before.
Yes.
So, we talked about it and then just forgot about it, right? So, well, this was a long time afterwards. Gosh, 6, 7, 8, 9 months later, I guess.
I don't know if I realized that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so my mom calls me one day and she's like, I can tell that she's not feeling very good. And I'm like, are you okay? She's like, no, not really. And she didn't have anybody there to like really take care of her. Like she was kind of a little bit, probably about 10 minutes away from me. But I was at work, and she's one of those people, she doesn't ever want to bother me. She's like, if you're working, I don't want to bother you.
Oh.
She doesn't want to bother anybody. She's very independent.
Yeah.
But at this point, she was like, she felt bad enough to call me. And she said, I feel so disoriented right now, and I don't know what to do. It's like, do you want me to come come up there with you? She said, yeah, that would be good. And she's a little bit upset about it. But every time, so she would get up, and every time she would get up, like she felt like she was going to be sick and like just fall over. And so she would sit down, and then she would try to lay down, and then that same sensation would come back, right? And she's like, and it just kept doing it over and over. She just felt so disoriented and like out of control, right? So I go there, like, let's go, to the urgent care, and because she felt her heart was like just feeling weird too, right? She was like, anytime, like if you look up Google, it's like anytime that someone's having heart issues, like immediately go to the ER, right? Like it's like one of those situations where you don't want to mess around.
Yeah,
so,
ask questions later.
Yeah,
act.
I'm like let's go get it checked out.
Yeah.
So we go to urgent care. We don't go to ER first. I'm like, let's just go there first. So take her there, and they're doing some tests and stuff on her. But like it's funny, and this will be for another time. But like whenever they were trying to take different measurements for blood pressure and everything, like the devices weren't working. Mm-hmm. And they're like, this is odd. And like Mom would look over at me and she would smile. and then they would notice, like, they took her blood pressure, they were taking heart rate, and would notice that whenever she would sit up or whatever, it would just jump, right? It was her pulse would go up and like just go back down, and her blood pressure would just do weird things, and they didn't have what they thought was adequate enough stuff to test, so they sent us to the ER at that point. So we go down the ER, we're sitting in the waiting room, and she's like, because whenever me and Mom get together, we don't talk about sports, we don't talk about family drama, we talk about the work and Dr. Joe stuff, right? And like that stuff. That's how we've connected now. That's really cool.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So she's like, I keep thinking about that. When we came here, she's like, I started thinking about those spirals and those door panels. She's like, have you ever thought about like what that meant more? I was like, no. Have you got any more like just intuition about it or anything? And she's like, no. I'm like, okay. Well, maybe one day we'll find out, right? Mm-hmm. So we go into the ER room. She puts on her robe. She lays down. They're doing tests and stuff on her, and so we're just kind of chit-chatting. And I was like, I looked at her robe and I was like, holy crap! There are panels on her robe with little spirals in the middle. Yeah. And I was like, Mom. Well, I was like, look at your robe, and I took a picture of it, and I'll give it to you. But I showed it to her, and she said, "Oh man," and she's like, "I just got chills just like looking at that," because that's basically what she was looking at.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
And how she had that thought before she put the robe on, so it wasn't like a subconscious or subliminal message that prompted her to say, "Have you thought about those doors and spirals lately?"
Yeah.
It happened beforehand.
Yeah, right before.
And then you guys saw that.
Yep.
So it's like the universe is kind of giving us messages all along the way. Might be foreshadowing something that's to come, but ultimately, if you're seeing a lot of repetition or you're getting some of these visions, a person pops up into your head, that's your signal to pay attention.
Yep.
Be alert, be watchful.
Yep.
And the universe, if you are projecting negative things, the universe will say, okay, give you more negative things.
That's right.
Law of attraction.
Yep.
But then the adverse is true.
Yep.
If you're projecting positivity, and don't get me wrong, bad things are inevitable. Nobody can escape bad things happening in their life. But if you are overall an optimistic person who projects, peace, love, graciousness, plug it in, plug the word in, then the universe will say, okay, and give you those things as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, and it's like a perception on the events too.
Yes.
Right? So like in that video, it showed the after school thing, it showed like there was one person looking at a bee that was terrified, another person that was looking at a bee was like, oh, look at this honeybee. Their energy was different, right? They perceived the bee differently.
Yeah.
So it's like our perception of it, and I want to put a plug into one of Chris's friends. Well, we both know him, Jacob.
Yeah.
Right? Just to kind of solidify this even more. So he's been doing a lot of cold plunges.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I've seen his Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's funny.
Yeah. So he's been doing that and stuff. I did that too. You know, I'd still take cold showers and stuff. But like, if you talk to someone about cold plunging, cold showers, and all that kind of stuff, you'll get mixed reviews. You'll be like, someone will be like, "Why would I want to take a cold shower? That just like hurts. That sounds miserable."
Yeah, it does.
Ooh, that sounds
I'm one of those
miserable,
people.
right?
Yeah.
Now we'll take a little information, and then we start reading about how cold showers and cold plunging is good for our vascular system. It like actually helps strengthen our immune system. It actually can give us energy throughout the day if we start our day off with that. Information changes, our perception changes. We start doing it, and then we start feeling those effects. Our perception change through information.
Yeah.
And so I just saw him this morning on that.
That's
Full
awesome.
circle.
Yeah.
I was at Tractor Supply whenever he bought his first cold plunge.
No way.
Yeah.
And you saw him today?
I saw it on like LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever, and I was like, I gotta share that with this because like I know it's gonna tie in.
Yeah.
And the tie-in is the perception of the event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. So, okay, this has been fascinating. What I like to ask every guest at the end, and I'm really glad you brought up Jacob and Chris, because I'll share one while you're thinking. But I always like to ask, this podcast is called Fruit of the Root. It's about members, strategic partners, people that come in and are able to connect with other people and see what grows from that. Whether it's business, personal, spiritual, you know, you name it, this is a place to connect. What is an example of some fruit from being at the root, from your perspective? And I'll say too, one of mine was getting to meet Jacob and Chris through you.
Yeah.
I was here working down on the co-working floor, and you were up in a conference room, and you came down and chit-chatted for a second. You might have gotten some water. You saw me, came over and started talking to me, and you said, "Do you have a minute? There's somebody I want to introduce you to." It's like, yes, you know, please. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Went upstairs, got to meet those two, Jacob and Chris, and we got to talking, discovered that, you know, Chris and I were both former athletes, and he does videography, and he's an artist in his own right. And we took him upstairs to the Nest, the studio we're sitting in right now.
Yeah. Such a
And
space.
yeah, and now he's on the team. He's the one that's helping produce this podcast. We got Brian too, so we've got an awesome team together, making all of this possible. And in a roundabout way, it was because of you, because you made that connection.
Wow.
This is fruit of the root right here.
Yeah. And to go like even deeper than that, right? It wouldn't have been possible unless this place was here, right? So like it's all about the roots, right? It's like, you know, you see if the roots are bad, then the fruit's bad, right?
Yes.
It can be, right? So like if the roots aren't have proper nutrition and the right environment, the soil, like all that kind of stuff. Like I've planted apple trees before. They didn't do very good because they were in clay. That wasn't their proper environment, right? So like I think it does show that there's a testimonial to your space and your environment that you've created here, of like creating those connections. But it's because there's strong roots. Strong roots, strong healthy roots, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for that. So yeah, I mean, gosh, I've seen all kinds of stuff just like that, right? It's hard to really even nail down one of them. But I guess a fruit is like very personal to me. Like, you know, you encouraged me to start the book club, right?
Yeah.
And then and then that's translated over to other things. And I'm seeing people like just be comfortable with the things that we've been talking about, right? Because a lot of people have this stuff in mind. Some of the stuff that we talked about today, people may be having that in their thoughts and like they've thought about it, but they just don't really want to share that with people. I mean, I would encourage people to share it because it's fascinating, and we've created a space there for that.
Yeah.
It's because of you.
Well, you too.
And to provide that space. and this helps people feel more comfortable with that. So I think that's a big fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I appreciate you sharing that. I'm really glad you brought that up, because another thing I like to ask is if you have anything coming up that people need to know about and where they can go. Because what we didn't mention is that you are also a business advisor for the ISBDC, which is the Indiana Small Business Development Center. So it's a free service in the state of Indiana. We have different regions, and you're a business advisor for our region. And so you provide free business services from product market fit to finding maybe a network within specific industries where people can reach out, to creating business plans, to finding funding, to even the beginning stages of creating an LLC versus an S corp. So that is your day job, and you do get to meet a lot of people and have conversations that end up leading to more spiritual, deep conversations. But one of the cool things that we've gotten to do after speaking about it, man, if we are having these thoughts, these conversations, there have to be other people that resonate with that as well.
That's right.
And you had gone through all of this Joe Dispenza stuff, and he has a bunch of books out. And so maybe I gave Joe a little push, but you really stepped into who you are, and you decided to fight through that fear or that resistance and start that book club. And so we started with Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, which was amazing, and then we went into Becoming Supernatural. And it is how to put in that work, a lot of that work that we discussed today. And we meet weekly. We meet Monday nights at 6 o'clock. So if anybody does want to join or check it out, please reach out to me or Joe. We can put his contact information, at least maybe your email, and mine in the show notes.
Absolutely.
And please come and meet us, meet the gang. We've actually formed a really intimate, interesting, very eclectic group, I would say.
Yeah. Oh man, there's so many things that could, that's great about that. And I've even thought about too, because what excites me is talking about those mystical experiences and those different things for people. And I thought about even doing a podcast on it, so we'll see how that could go.
Maybe this has swayed you
potentially
in the direction of, man, I can do this.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of fun to hear people's stories, and even like people's testimonials from Dr. Joe events and stuff like that. It's just like can be very profound.
Yeah.
If the right person hears it at the right time.
Exactly.
So. Yeah. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being here today, Joe.
Thank you.
This is fun.
That's good stuff.
All right.
Thank you. Perfect.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
That was awesome. Yeah, you made that so easy. Cool. I get nervous doing this.
Really? Well, you did fantastic.
Thanks.
I thought it flowed really well.
Yeah, well, that's partly why I like to just start talking, because then I get more comfortable. Once I just do it.
What time is it?
12:15.
Okay.
And we probably started after 11, didn't we? So we were right around an hour.
Yeah.
I'm not like set on we have to do this.
Yeah.
But Chris comes